Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm going to try and stand in front of the light here. I didn't realize that light was so bright behind me. See if I can adjust. Nope, we're just going to stand in front of it. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jesse Wells. I'm the summer camp director here at Store Camps. It doesn't look like we have a ton of people on tonight, and that's totally fine. We've done two of these videos already for youth camp and Trailblazers, so a lot of people have gotten a lot of the information already. But if you're just joining us tonight and this is new for you, or you just wanted to see my wonderful face again, thank you for taking that time. I do want to just cover a couple housekeeping things. They were up on the main screen there as we were waiting, but the chat bar that's just to the bottom there, you should be able to click chat, and then a little chat bar will come up. You can submit questions to that chat bar throughout the entirety of the meeting. We'll have other people answering those chats as we go. And then toward the end, if you want to ask some extra questions, we'll kind of forward those as they come in. If you don't have any questions, that's totally fine. If you don't want to ask questions at all on here and you think your question is better asked directly to me, you can use my email address. Again, that email address is jwells@ymcastorecamps.org. And Brian or Kate, if you want to just write that in the chat bar, that might help people out. And thank you. So tonight, I wanted to talk to you about camp and how camp is going to change a little bit for 2020 for this summer, starting on Sunday, and how camp is going to look a little different. But camp is going to still be fun. Camp is still going to have a lot of the things that you've come to love about camp, but it will look different. And I think it's important that you know what those differences look like so you can prepare yourself for it. We'll start with check-in. So check-in for Pathfinder, Outback, and Ranch are typically done at their respective sites. So Ranch at Ranch and Pathfinder and Outback out on the south side. This year we're doing everything out of the North Center. So everyone will be checking in at Malachi Dining Hall. And I know that's different for everyone. I know that's a little bit of a change, but we've reduced our capacities quite a bit for the summer. And because of those reduced capacities and the fact that cabins are a little smaller, it just made sense to move everything to North. That way we don't have to open up everything on South. We don't have to open up everything at Ranch. We can just operate out of here. So that's the plan for this summer, is to do check-in from Malachi. Check-in will look a little different even from, with that in mind. We are asking that just one adult or parent or guardian bring the campers into Malachi. And that's just the whole COVID thing. We're trying to reduce the amount of people on camp. So where typically a check-in, you might bring your grandparents and extended family, and they all wave you off as a goodbye. You can still do that, but unfortunately, everyone will have to wait in the car. You'll have your goodbye at the car. They can maybe go drive and get Mimi's ice cream down the road or something, but unfortunately, we can't allow any more than one adult in Malachi. The check-in system will look slightly different in Malachi, but you'll be directed all along the way. You will see those little dots on the floor that we've probably become pretty accustomed to during the pandemic. Those are the 6-foot markers. So we're going to ask that family units keep 6 feet apart from each other during that check-in process, just to further the social distancing. This will also be the first mention of masks. We will be asking that everyone that goes inside of Malachi be wearing a mask, and that'll be a theme. I'll talk about that a little bit more, and when masks get worn at camp, and what to look for in a mask if you're purchasing more. Forms, the forms will be pretty similar from the years before. You have always turned in a camper release. You've always turned in a health form. You've always turned in a scan of your health insurance card. This year, we do have an extra form. It is our COVID release form. And that basically states that there's a little extra risk to camp this year. Just like there's risk, going to the grocery store now, there's risk, going to a restaurant. We want everyone to be aware of that risk. So that waiver has all the risk outlined, and just that you're aware of that a little bit of extra that we're having this year. The trading post during check-in is unfortunately going to not be open. It's going to, oh, and thank you, Kate. Kate just posted the link if you haven't noticed that in the chat bar, but if you go to ymcastorcamps.org and you click on that resources tab, that will bring you to the COVID waiver. We'll also have those available at check-in, but it'll save you some time if you just have all of your forms turned in before then. So please do so. Losing my train of thought, but the trading post will unfortunately not be open. There's not a great way to distance inside of that little area. And we want to focus all of our attention to making sure check-in goes as smooth as possible, because it will be a little slower this year. So we want to focus all of our attention to moving people through there as fast as possible. We will be selling these fancy shirts. This is one of my favorite colors. It's like a burgundy red here. That's the camp shirt. Some of you might have ordered these a little earlier, but we have limited quantities. We will be selling those at the door. You'll be able to pay with credit check or cash. Cash is going to be the easiest. It's going to be the fastest. Medication, as always, if you give anything that's a substance to promote health or well-being, so be it a prescribed drug by a doctor or an essential oil or a vitamin or whatever you take to promote wellness, that has to be in the original bottle. That has to be in a Ziploc bag with the name on it, so that it can be properly organized. It just helps our staff out. It makes everything smoother if that's just organized just like that. Scanning on down in my agenda here, it looks like we have what happens at camp, which is the important stuff, right? You want to know what camp's going to look like when camp begins. So, and I should finish up the check-in part where the adult will leave you at Malachi. So your adult or parent or guardian will be saying goodbye at Malachi. We don't want people to go down to the cabin because we're keeping that cabin group as a cohort, as a family group. So that family group is going to travel through camp throughout the entirety of their stay. And they're going to not have to distance within that family group, but they will have to distance from all of the other family groups. So if you are in, the Pathfinder Outback and Ranch will be operating from the north side. So if you're in an A-frame cabin, which many of you will be, you wouldn't be able to go up and unfortunately hug your best friend that you see in the other A-frame cabin. You can give a wave, you can give an air hug, air high five, whatever you want. But we're trying to distance from those other cabin cohorts. It's not that you can't talk to them. It's not that you can't see them. It's not like you have to pretend they don't exist. But we're going to distance. And most activities will happen as a cabin family unit. Activities themselves will be more or less scheduled for you. So that's one thing that's changing a little bit. A lot of our older campers have a schedule that's kind of outlined for, or not outlined for them. They have a selection. They can select what they're doing. While there will be some selection there, a lot of that schedule is going to be laid out for you and given to you so that the cabin groups can stay apart. It doesn't mean that you can't have, for Pathfinder Outback and Ranch, it doesn't mean that you can't have some hangout time and see those other cabins around you. You can bring a hammock. You can bring your own hammock and hang out in your own hammock. Those are all things that we enjoy doing, but that's something that you can still distance and do, which is great. When campers will be allowed to wear masks. That's really important. We have taken to wearing masks now in the present, and many people are doing a great job and wearing them everywhere. If you're not one of those people, we will be asking that you become one of those people at camp. Have a mask with you. Bring more than one to camp. I personally like these things. These are called buffs. I got like 7 or 9 or something for $20 off of Amazon. There's still time. You can probably order them, and they might be there tomorrow or by Sunday, or you can send them in the mail to your camper, and they'll arrive basically when they get here. These are really great because you can keep them on your neck. They're pretty light. I wear this all day in 90-some degrees, and it's bone dry. And you can just throw it up over your face when you need it, and then you have your face covering on. And then when you don't need it, you can pull it right down. But you can wear whatever type of mask you want. I had a parent email me after one of the Zoom calls yesterday and asked if a bandana was okay. Bandanas are fine, as long as it's a face covering that goes over your nose and mouth. That way it's doing its job. We will have some disposable masks, but it really, really helps if people bring their own. And then just like everything at camp, write your name on it. We don't want to share these things. That defeats the purpose. So write your name on it. Write your name on everything at camp. We love names written on everything. Ranch, you're still doing a lot of your normal programming. You're still going out to ranch. You're still seeing the horses and doing ranch programming. So that schedule will still be equine based. Pathfinder Outback, you're still doing a lot of your fun things. You're still having your tea time. You're still having your campfires and things like that. They're just distanced. They're just going to be apart from other cabin family groups. Meals for ranch and Pathfinder and Outback, this is going to look slightly different. Ranch, you'll be having the majority of your meals in Malachi, and you'll be having those meals with mostly the teen campers. And they are going to be served single plate style, not family camp style, or not family style, because that family style, it's just a spread of germs. And we're trying to eliminate the spread of germs. So it's a single plate. You still get seconds. You still get plenty enough food, but it's not not family style like we've grown used to in Malachi. Pathfinder Outback, you're going to do a lot of your meals will be cookout style. You'll still be able to cook out and enjoy making your own meals. You will have some meals inside of Malachi, but many of your meals will be cooked out in the Frontier Village, where Pathfinder Outback is going to be hanging out this year. You still get your own space. You're not sharing that with Trailblazers. That's Pathfinder Outback's village this year. So Frontier. Overnight, for 2-weekers, we're still looking at doing an overnight for teen campers. It'll just be under the stars. For Pathfinder Outback, we're going to find a good time where maybe you can do even a couple nights out underneath the stars, out on tarps, not in tents. I know tents came up quite a bit in talks with parents. Parents were asking about tents, but you really can't distance in a tent. And when it's one person in a tent, even if you brought your own tent, it becomes a supervision issue. Because we don't want a camper out of sight of everyone. So don't bring your own tent. You won't get to use it. You can bring your own hammock, but we won't be doing tent camping this year. So that's a little bit different. Sleeping arrangements in the cabins, we are going to make sure to be apart as much as possible, even in the cabins, even though that's your family group. We still want to do it as safe as possible. So where there's space, we're going to have one camper to a bunk. If there's not the space to do that, and even if there is a space, we're going to try and arrange campers where it would be head to foot. So say this is the head of a camper, these are the feet, the other camper sleeping nearby would be laid out like that, head to foot. So that sleeping arrangement puts the most distance between the faces. And this is where germs are generally spread, sneezing, coughing, that sort of thing. We want to put as much distance between those two things as possible. When you're in a cabin with your family group, you do not need to wear a mask. You do not need to wear a mask to sleep. If you just get really used to it and it's a thing that calms you and you want to wear a mask while you sleep, no one's going to tell you you can't. It's just weird. You don't have to. Let's see, activities. They will be mostly the same. All the things that you've grown used to at camp, most of that will still be happening. And I'm sorry, Kate gave a little correction there. Every village will have one night overnight in the open air, so not multiple nights. My apologies. The sanitation of activities will happen before and after each use. So we make sure that if, say, you're going to archery, all the bows are sprayed and wiped down. There are hand sanitizers at just about every program station. So you go in, you hand sanitize, and then you can perform the activity. And immediately as you're leaving, those bows, those arrows, anything that would be touched is sprayed and wiped down with a food grade chemical that destroys the virus. So we want to make sure that everything is as clean as possible for the next group to get there. Again, it's about eliminating the spread of germs. The two programs that will change the most, because they're not happening, unfortunately, are the high adventure course and sailing. We will still have the tower, the climbing tower, but with high adventure and sailing, just the inherent part of those activities is you're pretty close to people that are outside of your cabin group. So the instructors you get very close to. And then the other thing there is the ropes and the things that have to be touched. There's not a great way of sanitizing ropes. So with the tower, we've developed a system to make sure everything's sanitized, but with the high ropes, there's parts of that high ropes that just, it's not, we're not able to sanitize all of that. And then breaking down a sailboat takes a really long time, and it doesn't make much sense to have to break down that entire sailboat for each use. So we won't be offering that either. Cabin mate requests. I know this is really important for a lot of people, and we are still making sure that we take it very, very seriously, because we understand that a lot of people have been cooped up in the house, and maybe you haven't seen your friends very much. Maybe you've been able to talk to them on the phone, but you haven't been able to get out and see your friends. And store camps is where you see your friends. So you want to be in a cabin with those people. And we understand that, and we're taking it very seriously, and we're trying our best to fulfill those cabin mate requests. But unfortunately this year, we can't guarantee any cabin mate request. So I do want to emphasize that we're taking them seriously. Anywhere that we can get those cabin mate requests done at, we are, but unfortunately we can't guarantee it this year. So that's just because of the capacities of cabins have been dropped pretty drastically. And that takes away a lot of our flexibility. So where there's normally 12 kids in a cabin, when that's cut almost in half, we can't quite have that same flexibility, if that makes any sense to you. But I do want to assure you that we're doing camp for a reason. Camp is important, and a lot of, if you're a camper on the call right now, if you're a parent, I think we all understand that we've been cooped up, we've been shut in for a while now, doing our due diligence to help stop the spread of the virus, and that's important, and that's good. We want to continue doing a lot of those things at camp, but still offer the fun of camp. So we're trying to offer it in a way that's still a lot of fun. It may be different, but it's a lot of fun, and it's also safe. And it is built in a way to help prevent the spread of germs. So that is what we are putting on this summer. It'll be fun, it'll be exciting, and if you have any questions, you feel free to pop them right in that bar right there, because I'm happy to answer those. I know it's a small group on tonight. And Brian or Kate, if you have anything to add, please go ahead and add, but we'll give a little time for questions to pop in. Awkwardly waiting for questions. No one seems to have them. No one's jumping in. Oh, hey, there we go, Greta. Hey, will we have to socially distance from the people in our cabins? And if not, will we be able to hug, high five, etc.? That's a great question. So in your cabins, it will still be one of those things where we're trying not to have a ton of contact. So those hugging, high fives, stuff like that. It's not like you're going to get yelled at if you hug your best friend, but we are going to try and enforce social distancing even there, but you don't have to keep that same 6 foot background distance. So you're able to approach your friend, you're able to, give, sometimes the elbow bump is a nice way to do it in a cabin group. You are able to play a game of basketball with your cabin group and still share that ball. You would be able to play a game of cards, go disc golfing, hang out close to each other in hammocks. But the hugging, the high fives, those things where we're getting really close, we still want to prevent that. It's just trying to do our due diligence to make camp safe. Kate just answered the check-in question. Wonderful. I got a thumbs up. I didn't even know you could do that in Zoom. I've been on a lot of these. I didn't know this thumbs up could happen. Thank you. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions popping through. No one's, I got another thumbs up. Hey, no one seems to be throwing any more questions in. So if you do have those questions, if they do pop up, I encourage you, email me. I'm happy to answer those. I want to be as informative as I can about the camp experience this summer, because it's important that you know what camp's going to look like. I don't want any surprises. I want you all to have fun and enjoy camp. So please email those over. Happy to have a chat. If you want a phone call, we can have a phone call. But with that, say good night to everyone, and thank you for joining us.